Hello and welcome. I'm so grateful to have all of you here. We are going to record this session because the majority of audience that registered for the event could not manage to join us today after we changed the date and the time. So we are going to record the session to share as per the request. My name is Sarah Abdullahi. I'm a medical physicist in radiation oncology and a life transition coach. Today's session is a reflection of both my professional lens and personal journey. And we are going to explore how change can deeply affect us from within and how coaching can gently guide us to go through those inner currents with clarity and compassion. Before I begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge something which is really important to me. So, looking at this group, coaches, scientists, engineers, medical physicists, radiation oncologists, pharmacists, consultants, educators, founders, and CEOs, I'm truly moved by the diversity in this space. And it tells something so important to me. That the conversation that we are about to have about transition, protection, and coaching is not just professional. It is human. And I'm deeply grateful that you are here to share this space with me. This is a presentation that we are going to have in International Coaching Week 2025, organized by International Federation of Coaching and ICF Switzerland chapter. So, of course, I'm aware that the majority of today's audience are coaches, and I deeply respect the depths of experience and presence you are sharing with us. Still, I would like to briefly revisit the foundational concept of coaching, not to explain it to you, but to gently include those who may be joining us from out of the profession or who are still exploring what coaching really means in the practice. So, coaching is a collaborative relationship that it wise grows through deep listening, curiosity, and a full trust in clients' inner wisdom. A space of intentional presence when insight emerges, not from the answers, but from the client's own unfolding clarity. So we do not lead with answers in a coaching session. We ask out of curiosity, we mirror, and we stay present with our client. So we believe in clients' wholeness, even when they feel broken. It is something few spaces can offer you. Calm, attuned, and entirely without force. It's a kind of a space where even your most fragile part can breathe. So coaching is not about fixing, not advising, diagnosing, pushing you toward a goal, rescuing, or labeling. Coaching does not offer any control over life's uncertainties, but it can offer something more powerful: inner clarity. And clarity helps us to notice our pattern, to feel our truths, and then make aligned choices. So from that space, from that place, we respond instead of reacting to external stimuli. So coaching is not advice giving or therapy. It is a co-created partnership. At its root, coaching is built on the presence, trust in clients' capacity, and a commitment to forward movement. So it's rooted in ethic and confidentiality, but of course, possibility. So we believe that clients holds the answer. And our role is holding a space, ask powerful questions out of curiosity, and then reflect back what is emerging. This kind of a space can be especially powerful during transition when external noise is very loud and internal clarity needs room to rise. When we talk about transition, we often think of external changes. A move, a new role or job or position, and or beginning a relationship. But what truly unsettles us is the inner shift they trigger. A loosening of who we thought we were. A role changes or fades, an identity softens, and then quietly questions arise. Who am I now? Am I still safe? Still worthy? Because identity is not just a title. It is how we orient ourselves in the world. And when that orientation starts to dissolve, even gently, it can feel like the ground beneath us shifts. We may miss who we were. Not because we wanted to go back, definitely not, but because that version felt like home. Clear, steady, and quietly supportive. And yet, we are not fully who we are becoming either. So, a tender in between, a pause between stories. So, this is where coaching can hold the space. Not to fix or rush, but to stay with what is unfolding inside until something real begins to take shape again. So it is not the change itself which is difficult to bear, it is the anxiety beneath. So, and when our sense of identity is shaken, it doesn't just bring confusion, it is often bringing something deeper and the more difficult to sit with. Yeah, it often brings something deeper and more difficult to sit with, and that is anxiety. So beneath that anxiety is a quiet need to be safe, to feel safe. Not physically safe, because we are all physically safe, but emotionally secure. So even welcome changes can feel threatening when the nervous system does not feel protected. And the real question beneath that struggle is often, am I safe in this? So when everything feels too much, we create a container. a container where the overwhelmed part of the client is allowed to exist, just as it is. That is so important to me. I wanted to point it again. When the overwhelmed part of the client is allowed to exist just as it is. And that is often the first moment of healing. Presence instead of pressure. So when someone feels safe enough, the frozen or the anxious system begins to soften and release. And then movement becomes natural, not forced. And then shift comes from within, not from external pressure. So the root of anxiety is a sense of unsafety. But this is not a problem that we can solve it with logic and maturity. Never. That is a problem. The fear doesn't respond to reasoning at all. You know why? Because it doesn't come from the adult self. It doesn't come from the adult self. It comes from an earlier part of us. It comes from the child within. From a part that didn't feel safe enough. Yeah. So, sometimes the fearful part of us doesn't disappear. It hides behind strength and logic. We all learned beautifully how to be super strong to survive at early childhood. Yeah, it hides behind strength and logic, but under stress, it returns, asking to be seen, to be heard. So it's like we met two selves. The frightened child and the calm presence we can now offer to the frightened child. The calm presence we wish to have at early childhood, but we didn't. So when we listen without trying to fix, fear softens. And the inner child begins to speak. And this is presence. And this is the heart of my coaching. So in all the stories that we carried, the fears, the unmet needs, the unsaid grief, frozen emotions, there is often a younger part of us just waiting to be seen. So my coaching style is not about fixing, rushing, or analyzing. It's about returning gently to what still needs protection. So it's a presence-led coaching space where we slow down enough to notice the child within to listen, to witness, and to begin repair from a place of deep, deep safety. And this is where my work lives, at the root, at the vine, and in the quiet power of simply being heard. You may wonder why I call it inner wine. Coaching through inner wine. It is inspired by this line by Hafiz, a line that speaks to me deeply. Hafiz was a Persian poet at 14th century whose words still speak to the heart across centuries and cultures. Do not imagine the journey has ended. 1,000 wines lie waiting in the veins of wine. And in Persian, گمان مبر که به پایان رسید کار مغان. هزار باده ناخورده در رگ تاک است. So, even when we feel broken or lost, something is still alive in us. Something hasn't disappeared. It's only waiting. Waiting for warmth, for attention, for trust. So the wine for me is a symbol of inner capacity we each carry to reconnect, to regrow, and to rise gently again from within. And coaching in this space becomes the invitation. Not to force the growth, but to make room for what is already alive to return. So in a world that often rushes to grow, to perform, and to move on, coaching, at least the kind that I offer, it's not about pushing forward. It's about allowing what is already alive to return. It's about protection, presence, and a trust in quiet unfolding. So whether someone comes to me with confusion, change, or no clear question at all, what I offer is not a solution. It is a space. A space where they do not have to explain themselves to be held. They do not have to explain themselves to be held. So let's pause together for a breath to feel how little we need to do when we are truly allowed to be just as we are. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me today. I hope something in it resonated with you, with the part of you that is still moving. So for the road ahead, as a take-home message, I just have one word. So you do not need to have it all figured out to begin. You do not need to have it all figured out to begin. You just need to stay present with what is real. If you want to know more about my style of coaching, you can visit innerwine.com. And I would close gently here with gratitude for your presence. But before closing, if there is any thought, questions, reflections you would like to share, I would be honored to hear that. Feel free to just unmute yourself, and I'm here with you.